everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Quack House Calls. I'm Dr. Quack, and as you can see by this shirt here, I've got a special guest I want to bring on. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of the Revolution Tag Team Champions and also the Fight Night Champion, the Heathen.
Evening. How is your mama and them?
Oh, my mama's doing good. How's your mama?
She's actually doing pretty well.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on here. Definitely an honor to have you on. You know, I want to talk about one of those titles first. I want to talk about that tag team title there. You and your partner, the Purge, came together and formed the Reunited Nation. How did that come about?
Honestly, how did the Reunited Nations come about? Honestly, we got to thank Mama Purge for that, because Mama Purge, she has watched Purge and I go back and forth just about everywhere. Me and Purge know each other on Fortnite. We conversate daily, and there's been about 6 months of planning going into the Reunited Nations, and once we finally unveiled it, 2 matches in Revolution, and we took this from one of the top tag teams out there in Hodge and Haywood connection.
Yeah, that was a very tough match for you guys, and a lot of people were shocked to see the result. How do you feel about that?
Well, when it comes to, wins and losses against the Hodge and Haywood connection from the Heathen side of things, I'm 2-0. I beat them in VOH for the VOH tag titles to defend those, beat them and took these, just beat Haywood and HSP. So, there shouldn't have been too many doubts in the results, because it seems I've got Haywood's number.
It definitely does. You got a couple people saying hello to Prince Blackheart here, and then you've got the Purge out here, Embrace the Nation.
That's my brother right there.
That he is. That was an incredible feat that you guys did. You guys came out there and won the championship. We had Purge on here last week, and he was very excited. He said he called you, and he was like over the hill on that one. He was very excited.
Honestly, it was hard for me. I didn't want to take his moment, because I had been there before, but receiving the call from him, and he said it best. He was over the moon. That just made it more special for me. But Purge, he is, honestly, he says it himself all the time, he's the breakout star of the year. Since he started running with me, I've maybe gave him that little bit of crazy ass white boy influence, and the result is paid in full.
What is it like teaming with the Purge versus, back when you were teaming with Rig a couple years back? What is that like for you?
That was honestly one of the questions I was waiting on, believe it or not. Honestly, when it comes to Rig, man, I don't like talking about it a whole lot because of the way stuff went down. But me and Rig as a tag team, there was just, I don't know what it was. It was that something special. And we never did try to figure out what it was, because we told ourselves as soon as we'd figure out what it was, that's when we'd fail. So we ran with it. But with Purge, I don't know. It was that one's hard to explain, because we didn't know what the results were going to be either. We, going up against Hodge and Haywood connection, Purge's nerves going into that match was all over the place. And it's like with Purge, he said it to me probably a couple of weeks ago, right after we won these. He's like, it seems that the Purge he brought a spring back out of back that the Heathen didn't have for a while. If you think back, Purge is kind of the one that killed that spring when he beat me at Soul Harvest. No, this wasn't Soul Harvest. That was the first ever Soulfire tournament.
Correct. Yeah, that was actually that first round where he pulled that.
So, when you look at the Heathen's history, the Purge is written in it all throughout. He's killed my motivation. He's brought my motivation back. And, the results, all I can say is look at the results.
I do see that. There you go. Prince Blackheart, I know he's a worrywart in tag matches. He was former tag partners with him over there with Blitzkrieg.
Who?
Prince Blackheart.
Who?
Okay. Well, and something else I want to ask you, because this is now something on my mind here. Live matches versus vignette-style tag matches. What's the difference, and which one do you prefer?
Well, when it comes to live matches, the first thing is preparation. You can't prepare for a live match because being one of the founders of the HSP tag matches, helping pretty much write the rule book for how the standard live match was to take place, you can't prepare for technical difficulties. You can't prepare for your partner to only have 3% battery when he's supposed to have a title match. I mean, we've seen it all in these tag matches. But when it comes to a vignette, that's when you want to make sure your hits are precise, you're on point. That's more of the competitive style. To me, that's a big difference when it comes to competitive and entertainment. I think the live matches are more of the entertaining style promos. When a vignette style is more of the in your face, you can edit it, make sure you're hitting them hard spots.
Yeah, I mean, your partner's pretty much agreeing with you there. So I want to get into this because we got some great matches that you have coming up here. You've got to defend your Revolution Tag Team titles against Landfill and now the newly Sergeant Havoc. How do you feel about them guys?
Well, for one, that match hasn't really been established with management yet. I think they're still begging, if you know what I mean, for a title shot. But if it comes down to it, me and Purge is already putting game plans together as we've prepped this tag team months in advance. We took a look at the roster from top to bottom, and we've done research on just about every one of them.
Definitely, you've got some tough matches coming up, tag team and singles here. I'd actually like to bring this up because you're going into Heart and Soul Demon Seed here on October 26th, and you get to take on your partner's mom, otherwise known as Mama Purge. How do you do that? How do you get to fight your partner's mother and not feel like you have to take it easy on her, or do you demolish her? How does this work?
For one, I'm going to go ahead and mention this now. Here's to the cartel for setting that match up in the contract.
Oh.
But honestly, it's a low blow from the cartel. Because who else to try to break my spirit than putting me up against my partner's mother? But it is also her debut, which will, if I have any kind of influence in this match on Mama Purge, I'm not going out to decimate her. I'll be up front. I'm not going out to decimate her. It's going to be more of a lesson and more of a Heathen style welcome to HSP. And the only thing that Mama Purge has to worry about with me is what is she going to get come match time? Because you got to look at it from her perspective. Debut match in HSP, and who do they give her other than the longest reigning tag champion in HSP, resident pain in the ass in any kind of promo fed you step into? That's a tall order. I just hope she's ready to fill the receipt.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure for her, you got to imagine, taking on somebody of your caliber in your debut match in a Fed. I mean, that is definitely going to be a tough one for her.
Well, I mean, I've witnessed more than my share of humbling experiences. Talk to Johnny Blade. But when it comes to, you can't underestimate anybody in this business because, as a wise man once told me, any given promo.
Yes, definitely. Anytime. Speaking of Johnny Blake, you've been giving him a lot of flack there. I mean, the man won the Soulfire Championship. He's got a victory over one of your buddies here, Mr. Wallace from the cartel, and A-List Alverson. I mean, does he deserve the respect?
Honestly, I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. You're a bitch until you beat me. Honestly, I don't see where people's assuming that me and Mr. Wallace are friends because he's the reason I didn't face Johnny Blade the first time, only because he inched me out by just so much. And honestly, Johnny Blade really ain't had any decent competition in his defenses. You can see that in his own match promos because you watch any prior Soulfire champion, they're putting heart, passion. I mean, you can tell they want to hold that title. But when you watch a Johnny Blade promo, half the time he don't even know what way to hold the freaking title. That's why I'm calling him a fraud, jobber. I mean, honestly, he's management, I guess, in wrestling terms now. But honestly, that's where he should have stayed from the get-go because I never seen him on Mondays or Thursdays, never seen him on those. But he is holding the title for a reason. I just don't think it's the right reasons.
Okay. I mean, here, let me ask you this. Soulfire Championship, Pure Heart Championship, you've been there since the beginning. Which one would you say is the greater title?
Pure Heart title.
Why?
Because it was the inaugural title. It was the first title. It has the, I mean, if you want to break it down to, I got to think of the word right offhand. It's the seniority, I guess. I mean, it's been there the longest. It has the better lineage, I guess. I mean, because if you look at it, the only real deserving mention in the Soulfire champions is Hollywood Haywood because he's the only one that really made people want to go for that title. He was on screen with it. He wasn't trying to figure out how to hold it on his shoulder and sometimes almost dropping the damn thing. And I think, honestly, when I get that shot at Johnny Blade for the Soulfire Championship, I'm going to shock the world. Okay. And he can come on and say that I'm a bitch. He can come on and run his mouth saying I'm obsessed with him. That motherfucker only wished I would be obsessed with a nobody, jobbing ass bitch like that. Anyway, hi, how you doing? How's your mom and them, Johnny Blade?
All right. Well, you know, speaking of the cartel there, too, we're talking about them because now you're forced to be with them because of all this. And you have to go after the Soulfire. That's what they want you to do. Does that make you feel good that you're actually, you know, because you wanted to retire. You wanted to get away from this.
Honestly, I tried to tell people in the back that Hollywood Haywood was going to be my last match. Win or loss, we were supposed to come out and say who the better man was, but I guess Hollywood didn't really have the guts for that either. So I was good with that. I was on my way out. I defined the tag division, still untouched record. I mean, Fear the Beards got close, but not close enough. And I mean, I was pretty much helping support some of the new talent that came in. I brought Old School to HSP, which that's a shot in the arm for me because I can say that I've moved on from being a champion to producing champions in Heart and Soul Promotions. But due to contractual obligations, I have to stretch out my career just a little bit longer just so the cartel can gain that last little bit of relevance off my name. Because after they lose the tag titles this time, they're just it's going to be the same effect.
I mean, but you got to give the cartel credit. The cartel came out there and they took on Fear the Beards, and a lot of people said that the weak link was Boss Alini, and look what Boss did. Boss came out strong, and he ended up coming out with the victory on this. You know, I mean, do you feel like it's not going to happen twice? Do you feel like that it was just a fluke?
I mean, they also wasn't they the ones that lost those tag titles to a no-name tag team?
They did. No, defeated.
They got beat by two nobodies that put their stuff together and had a flash in the pan, you know, stretch to get to those titles. So, I mean, honestly, think about that question.
I understand that. How's your relationship with Rich Mann?
Honestly, I can't stand him. I mean,
has he had many conversations with you?
That's the problem. He doesn't want to conversate with me. I think he fails to realize that if I'm going to win this Soulfire title to complete this contractual obligation, he's going to have to let me do it my way, or I will continue to embarrass the cartel because they want to say I'm defacing the value now. Just wait till I get started.
Okay. So, I mean, you got a lot of, you know, irons in the fire there, it seems like a lot of definitely major situations that are going on in the promo world. Where else are you competing besides these two places?
the Heathen runs, he had his last match with Adonis in PPF. I've retired from there. I mean,
How did that feel, retiring from PPF?
I have retired from PPF, yes.
Right. How did that feel? Was that a good feeling for you? Or?
Knowing that when I went to PPF, here's a bit of a history lesson. There was a bunch of stuff that went on in Promo World. I ended up kind of floating for a little bit. And I talked to Eric Lowe, E3. I don't know if anybody remembers. He's the one that told me branch out. He's like, go find some of these off the wall promo feds that, not too many people, you need to get away from the same guys. So I went to PPF, and that's where the Heathen really developed his character. And to go through, I held multiple titles there to face guys like Panic, Cody Bentley. I faced Old School. I was one of the only ones to go into the Lion's Den to face Old School and Sixes Inc. Regardless of people saying it was, a suicide match, I still had the balls to go in there and do it. But to earn the respect of those guys, Jacob Carney, Rising Sun, Old School, that really meant a lot for me. And to say that it's left in capable hands now that I'm gone, they're doing great as it is. I was just there to develop myself.
Okay. But so, you said PPF. Now, where else were you?
As of right now, as far as actively competing, I am in the Boiler Room, I am in Revolution, and I am in HSP. And I think PPA just went through a switch. They're called PUA now, I think, where they're doing like a thing with WGP. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure Justin, CEO Justin, will get a hold of your people and let you know the name. I don't remember, but I think it's 3.
Would you say you've had your dream match?
My dream match? Facing Chris Champion in the main event at Ground Zero for the King of Promos title will probably still be one of my favorite matches. But as far as dream matches, I want to face whoever the people think would be the best matchup. I never did really look at dream matches or, who would I want to face. I want to see what I want the best draw for the card. That's what I want. If that involves giving me like a Mad Anarchy or a Chris Champion or an Old School or a Roughneck or a Vagabond, there's plenty of opportunity out there because there's still quite a few that I've not faced in HSP yet. But as far as dream matches, that's really a question that I couldn't answer.
That's understandable. I want to run down the Demon Seed card here with you. Besides your match with Mama Purge we just talked about, we got Joey D and Mason Blade. Joey D making his return after many months.
If Joey D could come back and be consistent, I think he would be a force to be reckoned with. Mason Blade, he needs to work on his timing. If I had to pick it at anything, he could afford to slow down a little bit, because when you watch a Mason Blade promo, you get to about 2 minutes, 45 seconds. You can tell he's kind of starting to either get repetitive or he starts to kind of peter out. So, they're both they seem to me like they're relatively new, still in the development of the game. Joey D, I knew he had to take time off due to personal. It's good to see him back in. Like I said, if he could pick up the consistency and Mason Blade could work on his timing, I think it would be a good match to watch, especially that's kicking off the show, right?
Nah, I don't know.
Oh, well, I'm not sure the order, but if that's one of their starting matches, then I think that would be a good one to watch for newer guys.
Well, you see Mama Purge, Mason doesn't watch the product, and she's beating Mason. So she's obviously coming in with some confidence on you.
Any given promo.
Any given promo. This is true. Magnus Blood, Shady McKenzie. Oh, hold on. PPA is still called the PPA, but a difference is called the Promo Unity Alliance.
There you go. There's your
answer. Go ahead. By all means. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. I was actually listening to the rest of what you were saying. You cut off partway through.
Oh, Magnus Blood and Shady McKenzie.
Okay. This will be this. I don't know if this will strike nerve. Who is Magnus Blood?
I do not know. That is somebody new, and I have no clue.
Okay, well, the comments will probably help with that. I'm not sure who that is, but I know what Shady's capable of. He was former Pure Heart champion in HSP. I think Shady's gonna take that because unless Magnus Blood is somebody that I've heard of that's changed their name.
It is Rob Bell's new character, Magnus Blood.
If he could switch to a character and actually stick with that character and not try to turn that character into yet another gimmick. It seems like a lot of things with promo artists is they find something that works and then they want to try to add other stuff to it and it becomes oversaturated.
Okay.
But I got to go with Shady.
Shady on that. Okay. Oh, here we go. Now we got the two semifinal matches. Bossellini and Prince Blackheart. Blackheart has been actually improving quite a bit. He's got a sweep over the Soulfire champion.
That's exactly my point is why Johnny Blade should not be Soulfire champion. He lost to somebody that I've mopped the floor with on several occasions. But I have taken notice of Blackheart's quote-unquote hot streak that he's on. Let's not forget, every time somebody has a hot streak, I'm either the one to piss on it and put it out, or I'm the one to set them on their next great hot streak. But
go ahead.
What you got?
I was just saying, here we go. You got Shady. If you're any given promo except against Heathen, just giving you a hard time, buddy, with the laugh emojis.
Well, I think me and Shady need a run back just for old time's sake, but that's neither here nor there. But when it comes to Bossellini,
no matter who wins, they will fall to me.
Well, all I can say is HSP, you're welcome. That's your Pure Heart champion. I gotta go with Boss because Boss, I think, is going to have that little bit of extra confidence. They are tag team champions, as bad as I hate to admit it, because I think Fear the Beard's won that, but that's me. But I got to give it to the Boss because I think Boss winning those tag titles is going to have that little bit extra that I don't think Chelsea Blood's going to have enough for.
Chelsea Blood, you mean Prince Blackheart?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's a whole other promo artist from the past. Okay, and then you got the other half of that. You got Mr. Wallace and Sergeant Havoc.
Well, if Mr. Wallace can continue making it to the big stage and then dropping the ball, then I got to give it to Mr. Wallace. But Sergeant Havoc has kind of found a new leaf as of late and got somewhat of a fire under his ass. So I hope Mr. Wallace just ain't thinking it's going to be another, walk in the park like he's been getting. But, that was going to be a good one to watch. But I think I'm going to go with Sergeant Havoc. I'll go against the grain.
So you actually are thinking that it's not going to be cartel member versus cartel member.
Nope.
A lot of people have been speculating that since the tournament was announced that those two would meet in the finals.
If I ain't made it free and clear enough, fuck the cartel.
I see how you're feeling on that. Oh, here you go. Got a comment from your partner. I have a question. Do we get an epic win in Fortnite today? We pick up dubs. I can't say we don't. We pick up dubs if we got to bring up fucking Fortnite. Yes, was that one of the things you do that kind of just takes your mindset away from the promo world?
Honestly, I think that's where me and Purge. That's where most of our planning is done. Some people will think that's weird, but it got us the tag titles.
Yes. And here, I got one more match for you. The main event there, Vagabond Storyteller in a settle the score ghost story match.
First question, what kind of match?
A ghost story match.
And that's our main event.
I believe that's what it is, the main event there, yes.
Okay. I mean, a ghost story match.
That's what I've got here. There is no coin flips to determine a winner.
I guess, I mean, if it comes to telling a better story, I got to go with the storyteller. I mean, plus Vagabond can't stray away from using a voice filter that's sabotaged his own ass at least 7 or 8 different times. So if I can dish out a little bit of education, Vagabond, lay off the voice filter. But other than that, I will go storyteller just because I don't know what the hell kind of match that's going to be. It's going to be interesting to watch, to say the least. So,
okay. Well, here, I want to move into something else here. I want to get your thoughts here because I know you've got a lot of them. What is your thoughts on the current state in the promo world?
Oh, damn. I'm going to say lazy. I mean, it don't. When I started in promo world, I mean, I'm like, okay, I came over from the TikTok world. People can shit on TikTokers all they want. But when I came into promo world, it seemed like there was more energy. You know, people were excited about some of these matches, and people were excited to get on screen and, you know, bring eyes to the product. But it seems like it's all about either being an unbeatable champion or, you know, trying not to be deterred to face an unbeatable champion. To me, I think that hurts some of the future talent, because if you watch a guy go 8, 9, 10 months undefeated, I mean, that's going to kind of deter some of the future talent that could bring more to the world titles and, you know, all that. It really could be, because at the end of the day, for some guys like me, I'll be honest, this promo world, it was a release for me from real life. This is to get into, you know, I could come on screen and be the crazy ass white boy, but out here, I ain't nobody. And to watch the politics and a lot of the BS that's came into promo world, you got promo fans popping up all over the place that only last 2 months, because I do believe there was an interview not too long ago where somebody had mentioned buddies holding titles for buddies. And there's a loss of the actual competitive part of promos. It's still more of the people want glitz and glamour and edgy. That's not competitive. I mean, you go back and watch some of the old school rap battles, because that's really what they're supposed to be. This is who could come out and rip somebody up on the microphone better than their opponent. And it seems to me more like it's more of a show, or it's more about likes and follows and shares. And I mean, when I came in, I never cared about numbers. I never cared about who was watching. I was doing this for me. And honestly, I think there needs to be more promo artists that are out there doing it to have fun for themselves, or to forget that they've had a shit day outside. But honestly, I think a lot of the politics has killed it. And the egos. You can't get 2 of the biggest egos in one place and expect, quote unquote, promo unity. That's not going to work. I heard mentions of somebody during an interview talking about we should have like a territory system. I think that would be the best idea for promo world. Could they have a traveling world champion like Ric Flair? Probably not. But that's a sweet dream to have in the promo world. Honestly, if I could push this to anybody that's never promoted, never watched one, I would just say go out there and look at your opponent. You get the match card, pick something about them. Wait, you know, me, it was usually waiting on them to drop a hype. That's what you're supposed to do in competitive promos. You go out, you hype, introduce yourself to new audiences. That's the fun part. It's the competition part. I feel like that's getting lost in today's world.
That definitely makes a lot of sense there. I got a couple rapid fire questions here I want to ask you before we hop off here. If you have any questions, by all means, now's the time. But first, I want to ask you, any advice for any promo artists that are very young at this? Any advice for them?
If you're fresh into promo world, brand new, sit in the back of the locker room and just watch people, you can see where the BS is. I was that guy that sat in the back of the locker room, and I would watch conversations. I would watch how people would act in one place compared to how they would act in other places, how they would hype in one place to continue to how they would not hype in other places. Pay attention to the small details, but don't go out and give all your details away in one or two hypes. Save those hypes for later, like a few days before. Join a Pulse. The Pulse. HSP, that was one of the free hypes that they would give away. I wish more promo feds would do a live once a week. Give some of these promo artists that say they don't have time. You can't jump on screen, say this person sucks, and hop back off. That's a hype. I mean, just sit in the back.
Took a quick piss in the shower and ran out.
Do what?
It's like they took a quick piss in the shower and ran out.
That's honestly, I think that's about the best I could put it. I mean, sit down and listen to some of the guys that's been around for a while. And honestly, I could put this out there to some of the new guys. Reach out to some of the new talent that you believe has potential. Don't be afraid to back that person up if they take one or two losses. If you mentor somebody the right way, ask Old School about the Heathen. I mean, great things can come from that. That's the next generation. When you've held 6 or 7 world titles and you're ready to go out the door, be sure somebody's ready to take that spot and not going to run what you've spent time building up into the ground.
Okay. Favorite match you were ever in?
Highway Hellraisers versus the Shot Callers. The second time.
The second
would probably be my favorite match of all time.
Okay. What do you do after a bad performance? How do you recover from that?
Well, for starters, you sit back and sift through the bullshit, because there's plenty of that when you take a loss. And you take what, if available, you take what judges' feedback, or go and ask somebody that you look up to. Don't be afraid to be, I ain't afraid to admit it. I would reach out to Hollywood Haywood. I would reach out to Dr. Quack. I would be like, what do y'all think of this? What do you think of this loss that I could take into the next match to improve on? Don't be afraid to ask questions. The only stupid question is a question never asked, or if you did not truly think long enough about the answer.
Okay. And finally, it's Halloween. What's your favorite scary movie?
Favorite scary movie? I gotta say, probably the first Scream. I think it was probably one of my favorite ones.
Why?
It was the 90s. It was edgy. I mean, I don't know. I really didn't. I didn't watch scary movies on Halloween. I was the one out there, dressing up the yard and, just being out there in the environment, because I love watching, people around on Halloween and the ones that are psyched about it with the over the top houses. And yeah, I was more of a watcher than I was a participator in Halloween.
Okay. That sounds like fun. But that's all the time we have here, folks. Thank you all for tuning in here. Also, thank you for everybody who's tuning in live on the YouTube channel. We have that plugged up here today. Our next guest will actually be another cartel member, Mr. Wallace. Do you want to leave a final word for him?
Mr. Wallace. I know me and you ain't been on the same ground in probably ever. And we're probably still not going to be on the same ground because you joining the cartel, that's probably the worst mistake you could have made. That's about all I really have for him. I thought I had some kind of respect for him, but nope. I guess that's, I'm going to have to continue defacing the cartel as the best the Heathen can.
Okay, well, you hear that? We'll see you all Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Dr. Quack. Thank you, Heathen, for coming on here, and we'll see you next time.